Hello, welcome to another Pixels and Points. My name is Matt Nelsen, and I am the Red Rock Digital Media Director. And with me, as always, for this week is
I'm Susie Brown, traditional media buyer planner, all around guru.
all right. What do we got today, Susie?
So today we're going to talk some Nielsen numbers. So yesterday Nielsen just released, obviously every month they release a set of numbers, but we got March, numbers yesterday. So we just kind of wanted to go through, talk about trends, call out some highlights, see some different things we're seeing.
Yeah, since we haven't looked at these in a while, it's not something we do every month, but we just like to look at these once in a while, maybe at the end of each quarter. Be nice.
Yep.
All right. So, what's the big takeaways on this?
So first big takeaway, here's just total TV and streaming snapshots. So we're seeing just a breakout between broadcast, cable, and streaming numbers. And as usual, the trend we're seeing is that streaming is taking a bite out of broadcast month after month. And again, with that 43.8%, I think that's the highest percentage, at least over the last year, that they've got that piece of the pie.
It's just getting bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for March, the biggest ratings grabbers were
Oscars, of course, which was surprising because I know trend wise, their ratings have been trending down, but they had increased ratings year over year. And then Tracker, which was a surprise to us because I think we're not in the demo, but a CBS Prime serial show.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, March Madness, we've got basketball, and then news, always going to be in that top.
Yep, and that's why we always make sure we tell our clients that some of the top performers on all of this streaming, TV, cable is news and sports.
News and sports.
And live, and anything that's live programming that's, like the Oscars, the Emmys, all that good stuff, any award shows, any live kind of programming.
Right, just like what we talked about a few weeks ago with all the live events and the traction that's getting in the growth. So same story here in the ratings.
I am surprised Tracker is so high.
I know. Maybe we should check it out.
Yeah. And then you have the top streaming programs if you scroll down a little bit.
Yep. So we can go through. We can look. Here's our top streaming programs.
I mean, the top movie I think that's on there is Moana 2, which is just because it came out last month.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, in my household, it's a staple because I have young daughters.
Top video is The Reacher, and then Family Guy and Bluey, which, I mean, I'm not surprised Bluey's always going to be up there just because put that on for their kids and it's just up there. No.
And then, White Lotus, Adolescent, Severance, those are all buzzy shows. So all kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And Adolescence, even going into this month, I have a feeling it's going to go up a little bit more just because it's in the news over in Britain.
So many people are talking. I haven't watched it because I heard it's a little disturbing, but I'm thinking about it.
I don't need to watch it. I just know that it's gonna grow even more just because people are. It's the thing to talk about right now.
Exactly. Water cooler.
Yes, it's the thing to talk. All right. Looking down at our
we can see the
state of broadcast. I don't know if you want to talk about state of broadcast.
Yep. But this is really, I think, paints the perfect picture where broadcast, over summer, we were getting down into, really low 20% shares here. Mm-hmm. And right now in March, we're sitting again at 20.5.
Yeah, for some reason last year into October, they saw a little bit of a resurgence on cable and broadcast, but then it's just come back into streaming. I just wonder if it may be interesting to see if we start to get into like a ebb and flow on streaming, just because I don't think there was a lot of content being added to streaming last year in October, and it was all
and not as many, like we were talking about the live programs and live sports. Mm-hmm. So you can look at March, they had a good share in 2024, but here when Peacock took, everyone took everything 100% streaming. CBS did with March Madness, you can see that increase.
Yeah, and that probably has to do with college football and NFL.
Yep. And over summer broadcast, they don't have anything going on, right? Olympics is always their saving grace. But even looking at last summer, streaming took the bulk of it. because it's
Yep.
fresh content.
Yeah, and when looking at the actual streaming trends, you can see that it's, I mean, the biggest
Yeah.
gainer is the YouTube TV, which is that center one. It's gone from last year at this time 9.7 to now it's at 12%. So it's getting
Huge.
even more and more. Another one that's actually gained, and I'm surprised because I heard it was having issues, was the Disney, but that's including Disney Plus, ESPN, Hulu.
Yes. They,
Um,
it seems, have padded their numbers a bit because you can see where the break is from 2024 to 2025. That's when they started including ESPN impressions. They bundled everything together. It's Disney, ESPN, and Hulu now. But it's
yeah,
smart. It worked.
and Netflix is pretty flat. Another one that looked like it had a bump this last month was Paramount, and I don't know why. I don't know. There wasn't. I don't remember there being any new shows that got put onto Paramount. Maybe some of their Ghost
I
program.
watched Landman, I think it was, that came out in first quarter. And it's just like, all the usual kind of West Texas oil family kind of capitalize on that 1921.
And I know Amazon just they had, which is surprising because they haven't gone up a percentage. But last month, one of the top shows was Reacher, and Reacher's on Amazon, but their percentage hasn't gone up any. And they just put out a new show this month. That's the Kevin Bacon show, so the Bondsman,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And that looks like that sound. I've heard some buzz about that show too, so it looks like that might be good as well. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see next month. But obviously, Nielsen releases this data in regular cadence. So once a month, we'll be able to kind of look at those trends and always see that year over year and
but I do
make
think that
optimizations from there.
the one that's pulling away from that's pulling most of the percentage away from cable and TV is an online cable network, which is YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I mean, we can almost, I almost feel like maybe we could pull YouTube out if it's, unless it's counting YouTube like regular YouTube viewership, like content and stuff like that. If it's just looking at like as a streaming platform, YouTube TV, yeah, you kind of need to pull that out and put it in its own category because it's an online cable network rather than
Exactly.
just its own channel like say Disney and Amazon and Peacock are. So I mean that's the one that's growing the most, and you can see on the TV trend that it's that one I think is one of the ones that's taking the biggest bite out of TV and cable. But people are just switching from cable over to the online YouTube TV, and they're not really cutting the cord really.
Right, exactly. Because it is just like it's a direct competitor, I would say, like you're saying, more with the Spectrum of the world than with, well, Hulu also has their live model, but then with, yeah, an Amazon Prime.
And it doesn't go into details on this, but I'm wondering what like the Spectrum Online viewership is for people that are using like the Spectrum Online, kind of like the YouTube TV.
Right, right. Their streaming provider.
If it's being bundled in here with the cable as well. So
Ooh, we'll definitely have to figure that out. I'm assuming it's bundled in with the cable
maybe,
because I
yeah.
know that's how they're selling it, but obviously you can access all of this inventory if you are getting your streaming through Spectrum. So
And the other thing is the cable networks are have a lawsuit going forward trying to get online cable networks like YouTube and Hulu TV and other ones that have it like that are they're trying to make them being treated as a cable network because cable they have to pay an extra tax in all the states. They have to pay taxes on all
mhm.
this stuff, and YouTube TV doesn't. Hulu TV doesn't,
Yep.
and that would make Hulu TV probably cost more and YouTube TV cost more, which will drive people away from them. But it also may have a negative effect on some of the smaller ones like Sling and Friendly and
But from
those where they
corporate standpoint, it levels the playing field.
yeah. So we shall see. But I don't know if that lawsuit also incorporates calling, like anybody that puts a bunch of channels together. So would that affect Disney?
Exactly. Like
Any
they're
ones? Which I'm not against. I mean, if you're putting a tax on all these cable providers, you kind of need to tax the other one. You need to do this.
yeah, it needs to be balanced. Otherwise, we end up in the Wild West situation where nothing's regulated, right? And
Yeah, none of the the streaming platforms are being taxed on any of this. I mean, but I have a feeling that it's going to happen whether they win the lawsuit or not. It's going to be the same way that Amazon blew up originally because you didn't have to
Mhm.
pay taxes on anything.
Yep.
And then they said, no, that's not legal. You need to pay taxes on all the stuff if it's in your, like the taxes that are appropriate to your state. And so, I mean, if you're viewing content in a state, then they're going to want you and you log in. You may have to start logging in and telling them which state you're in so that they
Right.
can,
And then apply from there.
yeah, which will get rid of all of the VPNs that people log into to be able to see content, you know, like they
Or
log
get a
in.
VPN from a different state so you're not paying taxes.
When you log in, you may have to say like, "I want to be treated as Texas," like as
Mhm.
your login information, and that's going to hurt the people who are wanting to watch, you know, The Office on Netflix. They
Yep.
do that by logging in I don't know London or somewhere else, and they're able to do that. But I mean, if you're tying the person's login to a state, then they're only going to be able to get the content. Which I mean, they
There's
should
always going to be backdoors,
do too.
workarounds in these streaming situations. Yep.
They need to close down some of these back doors. It'll just I mean people can get mad at me for saying that, but they do need to close these back doors down and make it kind of an even playing field for some of the local guys that are getting killed basically on this.
Yep.
So all right, it's good to see
Well, great.
these numbers are not tanking. I mean, I know the Oscars is kind of flat where it was last year, but that some quality programming is still doing well, and it's not just news and sports and
Right.
live programming
Right.
that's getting all the ratings. So it's nice.
Scripted TV is still alive, it looks like,
Uh,
surprisingly.
don't want it to go away. It's a
No.
good thing. All right,
Well,
it's gonna
great.
do it for us.
Yeah. We'll see y'all next time. We'll have some more information, another topic to discuss, and we'll see y'all next week.